I'm okay. I'd like to talk to you about school safety, if you don't mind. One of the arguments that the school safety union makes, and some of the teachers in schools, is that there's not enough safety agents, and the numbers that they give are this: that before all of this, before the defund the police movement and the vaccine mandate, there were 5,500 safety officers. Now there's about 37. Combination of factors, they say, including some who didn't get the vaccine and many who were who left and were not replaced because you didn't have another class. Now, the reason I'm asking this question about whether you need more safety officers, for example, last week at Mott Haven, where they found a gun, a fully loaded gun, they had 8 agents when the gun was found, but before that they had 17. At Susan Wagner High School, where they had that incredible brawl, where a safety agent was dragged along the floor, there were 7 agents on duty, but before attrition and the vaccine mandate, there were 19. Do you think that you really need to have more safety agents in some schools because there seems to be an uptick in violence community-wide?
So, Marcia, I'll start and I'll turn to Chief Harrison and Chancellor Porter. First of all, again, the most important, I'm a parent. I want to make sure kids are safe. I want to make sure the whole school community, the adults included, are safe, unquestionably. And I think school safety agents are a crucial piece of the equation. I believe in the work of the school safety agents. I think they do very, very good and important work. I support them. And I also want to acknowledge if 92% have gotten vaccinated. Your question is absolutely fair, Marcia, but I want to be clear. Vaccination, that's a very, very successful number. So let's give credit to the school safety agents who went and got vaccinated. We do have more agents coming in. There is a new class coming. We got to figure out over time what the exact right number is. But I want to affirm these incidents. We all take these incidents very seriously, and they draw our attention and make us want to do things better and make changes. But I also want to say, thank God, these incidents are rare. So in terms of making whatever adjustments we need to, talked about the random scanning and the way we'll use the officers outside the schools as well. But to your specific question about the numbers and how we're working with the numbers of agents, first Chief Harrison, then Chancellor Porter. Chief, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, good morning, Marcia. So regards to your number, I don't want to say that's bad information, but the highest amount that we had was about 5,000 school safety agents. That's the first thing. The second thing is November 30th, we're looking to put a class in of 250 school safety agents. That's going to be a nice punch in the arm regarding having the appropriate amount of school safety agents throughout the city. And once again, is this, I'll say this all the time, the NYPD, we're very resilient. We'll figure out different ways to make sure we have the appropriate amount of presence at some of the schools, especially some of the schools that we may see some issues at. I said it earlier, the mayor stated it as well. If we have to tap into some of our local precincts that just have that exterior presence outside, we'll do that. But one thing I will reassure you, Marcia, and as the rest of the residents in New York City, student safety is NYPD's number one priority. So we'll do whatever we have to do to make these students safe.
Excellent. Chancellor.
Yeah, I'll just add, we work every day with the NYPD to make sure that we have appropriate staffing and resources as needed. And, as the mayor said, we are watching incidents, we're watching issues in our schools and making adjustments as necessary. I just want to continue to remind us that safety is a community expectation, a community commitment, and we're working with our community, with our NYPD partners. Our school safety agents are heroes in this moment and continue to be, but also with our principals and our school leaders and district support teams to make sure that we're wrapping our schools with the social emotional supports that are needed as well.
Amen. Marcia, go ahead. Marcia?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Can you hear me? So, Mr. Mayor, my next question has to do with the amount of schools that you say that have scanners. What I've been told is that only about 100 schools in the city have permanent scanning. And there are a lot of people who think there should be many more schools that have scanners because of what's going on. And a lot of times when you say unannounced screening, I've gone to schools where there have been knifings and stabbings and shootings. And it seems that the unannounced screenings go in the morning after you've had an incident, and then you take them out 3 hours later. So everybody knows that, okay, that day they're not going to be able to get their weapons in, but the next day after that they can. So the question is, given the fact that we have these ongoing problems right now in our community, a lot of places with gangs, for example, at Mott Haven, when I was there on Friday, I watched the people getting out, and there were a number of people wearing the red do-rags of the Bloods gang, a number of students. So my question is, do you need to increase the number of schools that have scanners, even if it's, for a short period of time, so that it's not like, okay, we're bringing the scanner in today, but we know that tomorrow it's going to be gone, so it's safe to bring your weapon back to school?
Marcia, I respect the question because it's a good thing to say when we're doing something like this, are we doing it the right way? My experience with random scanning is not what you've heard. My experience is it goes in and is continued for the very purpose of creating accountability. I think random scanning is a very powerful tool if it is consistent enough, and it has to be, and I'll let the chief and the chancellor speak to that. There are some schools where more consistent scanning makes sense. There are other schools where it doesn't. We've said many times over the years this has to be a decision between the Department of Education, the NYPD, and the school community to figure out what makes sense for them. But I also want you to be careful on the overall. Thank God that the work of our school safety agents, work at NYPD, has kept our schools much safer than they used to be, much, much safer than they used to be. And I've looked at the current numbers, and they are very consistent with pre-pandemic reality, although you're right, there's a particular issue in the community with guns out there that we have to be very, very focused on. But I want to emphasize, some schools, yes, of course, regular scanning makes sense. Some schools, random scanning makes sense. Some schools, it doesn't. Let the professionals, let the security experts make that decision with the school community. Chief Harrison? Chief, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Hey, Marcia, so regarding your concern about the random scanning, there's something that we have in place called field intelligence agents. And one of the things that they do is they get information about incidents that are happening around the city. And then we take a closer look or a deeper dive into what schools may be affected. And once we take a look at that, then we'll identify that site and then do a scanning at that location. So there's a lot of work, be it through law enforcement, working with the community, that comes into place to make sure that we're identifying the right locations and doing the scanning to prevent any violence that could possibly happen within some of these schools.
Thank you. Chancellor, you want to add on that topic?
I'll just add that, we are making adjustments and really looking at schools across the city in partnership with the NYPD. And so this is not a response to what happened today, tomorrow. This is being proactive and thinking forward about keeping our schools and communities safe. I think it's also important to note, who we have walking in our buildings every day are children, our students, our babies, and we made a commitment to welcoming them back into warm and affirming and supportive school communities. And so they deserve to walk into buildings where they feel that, but also acknowledge that we need to keep them safe every single day.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The next is Emma from the New York Times.
Hi, good morning, Mayor. So it's day 6 of this taxi driver hunger strike. They're saying that your debt relief plan is a